Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hammer Territory podcast. This is episode 267. I'm your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Sunday evening here in mid-September, and I'm joined, as always, as often, by my old co-host. He's been gone. He's been in the wilderness, and by the wilderness, I mean overseas. Scott Coleman is back. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, Brad. It is good to be back with you. It is good to be back stateside. Maybe the Braves are not exactly playing the kind of baseball that we were hoping for at this point. I mean, can you believe there's 2 weeks left in this baseball season? I mean, I know it's been a bad year, obviously, but I feel like yesterday we were really excited and opening day was right around the corner and we were previewing that West Coast road trip. And here we are 2 weeks to go. And I mean, it's just kind of going through the motions at this point.
It certainly is. I talked to a good friend of the pod, Grant McCauley, on the show a week ago today on Sunday, and I dropped that, hey, 3 weeks left, and it was kind of like, whoa, that's weird to say out loud. And now it's 2 weeks left, and I guess I'm kind of ready for it now because I've been prepping the last couple of weeks, but you've been gone, and it was like, oh, when you left, it was 5-6 weeks left, and now it's 2. So it is what it is. We're back. A lot to get to. First of all, if you are new to the podcast, we are Hammer Territory. The four of us, myself, Scott, Sean, and Steven, cover the Braves all year round, and we appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the pod anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. And I just want to give a little bit, everybody kind of a little bit of a tee up. So Scott was traveling. He can reveal as much as he wants to about all of his world travel, but your last show, Scott, was with me on August 27th. It's been a little while, right? A lot has happened since then. We were laughing about this. I did text you several times while you were gone, but I'm going to give you not even a full list of what happened while you were gone, but a list of things that happened since you left
And
the last time you were on the show.
It was like legitimately a surprise because, I mean, without, the trade deadline is behind us. And generally it's pretty quiet, especially for teams that are not in a playoff chase. September is generally a pretty quiet time of the baseball calendar.
It is, and we've been laughing both on and off the show about how the Braves have been at least kind enough to give us some content because we were kind of worried about what we're going to talk about in September. But here's an abbreviated list of all the things that have happened since Scott was on the show last. First and foremost, you just alluded to it, the Braves added Ha-Seong Kim in a surprise, kind of a blockbuster move by waiver standards. That happened like almost right after you left. Sean Murphy went down for 4 months or more with an injury. Ronald Acuña Jr. hit 6th or 7th in the lineup in 4 consecutive games while you were gone. Don't know how that happened, why that happened. Here we are. Spencer Strider shaved his mustache while you were gone. That got a lot of reaction.
Yeah, probably the most noteworthy thing is that Strider without a mustache, I don't know if I'd recognize him if he was walking down the street.
Many people did not recognize him when he did that. There's more. Michael Harris, who had been hot after right as you were leaving. Since you left, Michael Harris has a 131 on-base percentage. Not batting average, on-base percentage. Brian Snitker's future was kind of muddy and is still very muddy, if not more muddy, since the last time you were here. And in the not important department, the Braves went 5-11 while you were gone, and they lost all 5 series that they played in while you were gone. So there's more that happened. Drake Ball went into a slump that we'll talk about later on. Matt Olson's been hot. He hit 5 home runs while you were gone. Like, there's a whole list of things that happened, Scott. But while the team's placement in the baseball hierarchy has really not changed, man, you kind of missed a lot on accident.
I did. I mean, I was tuning in to basically every show because I felt like I needed to stay up to date with everything going on with the Braves. And, maybe do you want to talk about Ha-Seong Kim for just a couple of minutes here? I mean, that was probably the most noteworthy, Spencer Strider's mustache aside. And when I saw that come through and I listened to the show and I agreed with a lot of what you guys said at the time, but I mean, what a fascinating ad for the Braves bringing on Kim. I think now that we've had a couple of weeks to digest it a little bit more, I understand what the Braves are doing because clearly they have been unsuccessful in adding a shortstop post Dansby Swanson. And not just the Braves. I mean, really, if you look around all Major League Baseball, there just haven't been a lot of shortstops that have moved around. And not only looking backwards, but also looking forwards, there's not much that's going to be available or presumably be available in the next couple of seasons, whether it be in free agency or on the trade market. So it was an interesting gamble, and I get what the Braves are doing. I guess we'll see if Kim ultimately decides to pick up his player option. I think he's going to. But yeah, I mean, when I left, I don't necessarily think I had the Braves adding a more probable than not their starting shortstop for 2026 by way of a waiver claim that really, I think, not just locally, but nationally, drew a lot of attention for kind of the gamble the Braves are taking.
For sure. And, a couple people were almost trolling us about how we were talking about it. And we did an emergency podcast, and I thought it was a pretty logical decision. Like, it was a pretty big deal. Like, as big
Oh,
of a
yeah.
move, non-injury division as could have possibly happened basically in September was this. Like, the potential to add a starting shortstop, a guy that we had talked about for 2-3 months during the winter as a target, and to do it in surprising, like no one saw this coming fashion on September, whatever it was, second, first, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was a shocking thing. We had talked about it a lot. He did have 3 hits and a walk today, so that's kind of a good plank to dig in a little bit. But he's been kind of as expected for me on the field. I mean, I don't know if you heard this. One of my talking points on the emergency episode even was like, hey guys, don't overreact to anything Ha-Seong Kim does in the next 4 weeks, positively or negatively, because the
Yeah.
sample just won't be big enough for me to care. Like, yeah, if he went 0 for the month of September, alarm bells would be understandable. Or if he had hit 15 home runs this month, which would have never happened. But you know what I mean? But he's basically been exactly what he's supposed to be. Like, he has a 350 or so on base percentage, not a ton of power, playing good defense, like looks like a starting caliber shortstop, not a superstar, but a starting caliber shortstop. And I'm actually kind of glad about that, if that makes sense. Like, just for the discourse, Scott, I'm like
Yeah.
pretty excited that he hasn't been incredible, he hasn't been terrible, and I'm glad to avoid both of those polls just to talk about him in a rational way, because you know how this goes. If either one of those things happen, you'd be like, well, this guy sucks or this guy's awesome, et cetera, et cetera. He's still just a good player who's had injury issues, and there is a lot of uncertainty maybe still. I think a lot of people still, even after we talked about this a lot 2 weeks ago, have either just like written in pen in their mind that he's going to definitely be on the team, and there's this chance he's not still. Like, there's a chance he opts out. I think I agree with what you just said about him probably being on the team, probably opting into that contract. It is Scott Boras. Like, it's still a non-zero that he opts out. But going back to that moment, and since you have the benefit of 2 weeks of hindsight on this, like, is this a move that you would have made as the Braves? That's probably the easiest way to get into this. Like, would you have done this as Alex? Without knowing obviously, we don't know all the constraints financially. That's a big part of this. But
Right.
Guessing game wise, would you have done this or no?
So, yes, the answer is yes. I think it's a worthwhile gamble. And I'm making that answer on one moderate assumption that Alex Anthopoulos has talked to 29 baseball teams about their shortstop and the availability of their shortstop. And also the fact that Bo Bichette, who is a pending free agent, is very likely not going to be a shortstop moving forward. That's not just our opinion. Ken Rosenthal was talking about it. I think Jeff Passan talked about it at the trade deadline. Moving forward, Bo Bichette's likely not a shortstop. And there's like nothing else out there, Brad. I mean, unless
Nothing.
they want to take a gamble on a prospect who's in the upper level of the minors, but even those players are hard to trade for. Like, teams don't give
Oh
away
yeah.
their 21, 22-year-old shortstop prospects, even if they are flawed. I would sure think that Anthopoulos has tried to do that, not only this year, but really the past two seasons and 2 off seasons. Surely he's worked the phones on it. So is Ha-Seong Kim a superstar? No. Is there some risk here? Yes. $16 million is not nothing, assuming he picks it up. But I do think Kim has probably in his best interest to take that $16 million, put it in the bank, and then try to bounce back and be healthy next year, and then hit free agency one more time as a 31-year-old. Because if he has a good 2026, he's going to get a nice payday the next time he becomes a free agent in about 13 months.
We agree for sure. And I said this at the time, I would reiterate it now. He doesn't have to be a star to be worth $16 million with his skill set. Like, if he's just an okay hitter and plays above average defense at shortstop, that's what the going rate is. I mean, that's what that is. I mean, there was a year where Orlando Arcia was worth $16 million. Like, they didn't pay him that, but the 1 year was a 2023, his best year. He was basically a league average bat and a pretty good glove, and that player is worth that much money. Now, he was never worth that again, but Ha-Seong Kim's baseline is far higher than Orlando Arcia's ever was.
Yeah.
And I think that we've already seen it. I'll say this even a step further. If he's just the exact same player that he has been for 2 weeks with the Braves, now obviously it's impossible to extrapolate 2 weeks over a full season. If he's just this guy, OPS in the 700s, OBP of 350-ish, good glove, that's worth it. Sign me up. Sign me up. I'm not saying it's like he's not a $40 million player at that point in time, but I am excited, positive about what he can be. If it's just what he's been so far, cool. Scott Boras is an interesting dynamic in this whole thing. We will talk about that a lot in a few weeks when this decision can happen, like post World Series. It gets real in a hurry on all this stuff. But as long as he doesn't go crazy down the end of the season, I think he'll probably opt in. And yeah, it was shocking. It really was.
Even if Kim declines his player option, which I don't think he's going to do, and he becomes a free agent, well, guess what? I think the Braves are probably going to be bidding on him, and the Braves are going to be then bidding on a shortstop who is not having a great year. He was injured early in the season. He's had a couple of nagging injuries throughout the year, and you're not buying high on this player by any means. And you're not going to have to commit 5 years and $100 million to get Ha-Seong Kim at this point. I think it makes sense if Kim decides to opt out that the Braves would clearly they like this guy. They went out and they claimed him. And, you talked about people making too much of acting like we made too much of the deal. Well, sure, it was a waiver claim, but if the Braves traded for Ha-Seong Kim 3 days into the offseason, is it any different? Like if the Braves,
or if they traded for him 3 weeks before that at the deadline, you know what I mean?
Like, which they tried to do. It was, I don't know who reported it, but somebody said the Braves tried to trade for Kim at the deadline.
Well, and that's one of the things we can move on because I promise we have to go long on this, but if he opts out, like you just mentioned a scenario, I think he'd probably sign a similar deal to what he got last winter, which is like a 1+1. I don't think he's going to opt out and get like a 4-year deal from somebody. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he'd be in the market for what he got last year, like a 2 for 28, 2 for 29 with an opt out. And maybe that is a deal the Braves would still give him. I don't know if they would or not, but I think they would be interested in that kind of structure if you had to do it. It'd be easier and more low risk if the Braves just got him to opt in, sure. Or there's a scenario we brought up then too, that maybe Alex goes to Scott Boras and says, all right, how about 2 for 24 instead? And you just decline, you decline your option. We give you 2 for 24. I don't know. I mean, or 2 for 24 with a player option. I don't know. One of those things. They don't get player options. I know that's like an organizational policy, but hey, they just claimed one, so I guess it's not firmly in ink. Regardless, it's a move that was interesting. I did think it was deeply funny that it happened right after you left. I texted you that. I was like, this is very funny that Scott's thousands of miles away.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen my face. I was at dinner, I think, when the move was announced, and my wife was like, what's going on? Even she picked up on me being like, whoa, like when you can tell someone's deep in thought, like looking at something. I was like, whoa, Ha-Seong Kim, like that's a legitimate, once upon a time, really good shortstop, and the Braves claimed him for nothing. I mean, it was surprising. Gave us something to talk about, at least in a otherwise very somber month for the Atlanta Braves.
That was number one on the list of things that happened while you were gone. I was going to ask you about it. We talked about it now. There's more to get to from this weekend, kind of, but not even. More big picture stuff. We'll get into much more of that, I promise you, in a second after a word from our partners.
We are longtime fans of Omaha Steaks, and I am drooling looking at the website right now, featuring USDA certified tender steaks, and also during their Red Hot Sale event going on right now this fall, 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, for the FT fam, an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. You've been a big fan of Omaha Steaks since your early days as a pro.
Brings me back to my low A-ball days, because we used to survive on this. We get a big order at the beginning of the year, cook them on our little electric grill, can of peas, some mac and cheese. That was dinner for 4. We survived off Omaha Steaks. It still has a special place in my heart.
You thrived.
Well,
you guys ate like kings.
Yeah.
That's special. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event, and for an extra $35 off, promo code FOUL at checkout. 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. See site for details. Dig in.
Okay, Scott, we will go down the entire list of things that happened while you were gone. I did deliver a, me, I'm not a big rant guy. I did deliver a Ronald Acuña Jr. batting lineup rant that people misinterpreted still, even though I gave like 10 caveats. It was amazing. I actually thought of you when I was recording it. I'm like, Scott's gonna be surprised I did this. I think because I don't usually do that. That's not my beat, but I did it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was spicy. I'm glad to see Acuña back where he should be. He should bat no lower than third or fourth, whatever. I mean,
You know me very well. We've been podcasting together for a decade now. Nothing bothers me more than things that I don't understand. It's not even a disagree. I was like, no one can explain how this is happening or why this is happening. That was my own. Anyway, not to go down that rabbit hole too much. But other than that, everything else was kind of like on the field. We'll come back to Brian Snitker in a second. Let's just knock out the weekend of games, and then we'll springboard off of them more than talking about them. The Braves got absolutely waxed on Friday and Saturday. Steven and I just very subtly dropped on the show Wednesday night. We were both going to the game on Friday. And then I poked fun before first pitch, before anything ever happened, and say, hey, Steve and I are both here. Nothing's going to go well tonight. We all understand that, right? And then in the blink of an eye, it's 11-0, and it was really bad. Now, the result, I don't really care. Couple of things. One that I thought was just funny and noteworthy and like fun facty, or not so fun facty. The Braves were down 10-0 in the 5th inning of the game on Friday night. And the opponent, the Astros, had 1 extra base hit. 1. And only 2 walked. It wasn't like they walked like 10 guys, which that's the other way that can happen. 1 extra base hit, 2 walks, 10 runs. So that goes back to Hurston Waldrep, who was the pitcher. He had been lights out for both before you left and while you were gone. But he had his first real bad outing on Friday. And having been there, he gave up a 2-run home run to a guy making his major league debut, which was kind of funny, in Zach Cole. Other than that, he kind of got BABIP to death. He allowed 7 singles, and most of them were not like roped. One of the screenshots, and I don't know I think you were traveling Friday still on your long 24-hour journey back, but one screenshot that I saw making the rounds, and I saw the same thing, was from StatCast. The Braves lost the game 11-3, and the Braves had the higher expected batting average in the game.
So you're saying I picked a good time to not watch some baseball.
Probably
that
so. But
sounds about right. And you know what? Like, Waldrep was unbelievable for that month and a half, but he was going to run on hard times eventually. And sometimes that's just bad luck. And it was also the first time Waldrep was pitching without Sean Murphy, which is probably more coincidental than anything. But
yes,
Waldrep has talked openly, and Murphy has talked openly about how they kind of helped each other out. And Waldrep has credited Murphy for some of the changes that he made throughout the season that have made him successful. It's probably more coincidence than anything. But yeah, hopefully you just flush it if you're Waldrep. We'll see what the week ahead holds. I assume he's going to make another start, but he is well beyond his high in professional innings in a season. So maybe they shut him down sooner. But regardless, sure, if Waldrep has 2 or 3 really bad starts down the year, it's not going to leave a great taste in anybody's mouth. But I don't think anyone's nervous with him. Still just a really encouraging sign down the stretch. And just one of those games, hopefully he can get back on that horse and throw well whenever he does pitch again.
Yeah, he had his worst. There's a metric called Location Plus. It's actually adjacent to Stuff Plus. Like, there's a Stuff Plus, Location Plus, Advanced Metrics. Basically, it just says, do you locate the way you want to locate? It was his worst of the season. So that was probably part of that too. He was just missing his spots. He didn't really just have it in the game. That's okay. It's going to happen. I still fall probably in the middle of, there's a contingent I've seen that's like writing him in pen as like the 3rd starter next year based on the last month and a half. And then there's contingents that's like, don't believe it at all. I'm kind of in the middle. I think he should be given a chance to start next year. I also don't think that it's like he's definitely awesome. Like we haven't seen enough for me to do that. But we'll see. I'm not worried about the start either, just to back you up. I was not alarmed having been there, watching even more intently than I normally would be, because you're just there and I'm sitting actually behind the plate at a good view of Waldrep. And I was like, you know what? He's not getting massacred. Like, there are nights when a guy doesn't have it where they're just getting blasted. And that was not really what happened. It was a lot of like softish liners to center, like lots of, he wasn't great, but it wasn't like he got hammered and gave up 5 homers or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that just one of the things that have really come in my mind over the last couple of weeks is just the Braves have to add a good starting pitcher of some kind this offseason if people are healthy. Feel great about Sale, Schwallenbach. We'll see about Strider. Ronaldo Lopez, who we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. Some encouraging stuff on Lopez, and there's a handful of others, and then what Waldrep has shown. But I think it's safe to say that this team very much needs stability in the rotation, and it's a far cry from that at the moment.
I'm smiling because I have already seen people making their starting pitcher lists and acting as if the Braves don't need to add anybody because they get married to it's not only Waldrep, but they get married to Waldrep and they get married to all the names that Smith Shawver, who could be back next season at some point. Grant Holmes is not having the surgery. I get it. If you want to just list a bunch of names, you can get to 7 or 8 guys, but we do this every year. And
I was going to say
recently, Scott, we've been the ones batting 1,000 on this, where we go into the season saying, "Hey, they don't have enough pitching." People yell at us, and then by May, it's like, "Oh, they don't have enough pitching." Cool,
yeah,
shocking. So
how many times?
I'm with you.
How many times do we have to do this, Brad? Where they're starting Carlos Carrasco in July and August because they don't have any pitching? I mean, it's silly. Go out. They have to add a starting pitcher this offseason.
I agree, and we'll talk about that plenty, I promise you, in the coming days. Elsewhere from Friday, quickly, Ronald hit a home run. His first one since August 22nd. That was good to see. It was in garbage time, but it was a good swing. He looked good to me. Had a single earlier on in the game. Looked good. Also had, honestly, one of the best plays I've ever seen live in that game. It was this play. He played it off the wall. Sorry, he cut off the a line drive to right and made a throw that like only Ronnie can, not only Ronnie, but very few guys can make, and hosed a runner at second base. And in person, it's just a little bit different. But even on I saw the replay on TV. It did show it well. It wasn't quite as good as the throw he made to third base earlier this season. They like made national news. That one was different. But this play was, every once in a while, it's like, why are you people running around Acuña? Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you running against him? But that was a fun one to see in person.
I would love to know for like that half second when Ronald realizes somebody's running on him, like what goes through his mind and the excitement that hits him. Because it is a treat to watch Ronald throw the baseball, and good to see him hit the homer. I know it was garbage time, but he hit the ball hard, and I'm sure for the vibes, let's hope Ronald is 1, healthy, and 2, has a good final 2 weeks of the season, goes into the off season, no restrictions, normal training, off-season workout program, and then let's get him back to that MVP level player in 2026.
One more fast note from Friday. It didn't matter at all to the game, but Eli White hit a pinch hit home run on Friday, and this is remarkable to me. That was the Braves' first pinch hit home run since May of 2023. Now, granted, this is the DH era. I get it. Like you just have fewer opportunities to have pinch hit home runs.
Yep.
But still, that's 2.5 years without a pinch hit home run. Like that's just very strange to me that would be that long, but it happened. Shouts to Eli White.
Yeah. Hey, Eli White, man, he is a really nice player to have on the bench. He does everything you want a bench player to do.
Yeah, he checks a lot of boxes. There is a contingent that I've seen that people think that he's like, I saw someone arguing, I think it was after that night, that he should be like in the mix to like play like a Ben Zobrist, like starter every game role next year. And I was like, let's all slow down, everybody. He's a great guy to have on the bench. He's also a guy to have on the bench. That's what I would say about Eli White. But he can run. He can hit okay-ish, defend multiple positions. Very useful guy. Saturday's game was like not even worth talking about, really. They lost badly. It was 17-5 combined Friday and Saturday. Bryce Elder, though, this is actually funny on the Scott was gone meter. Bryce in while you were gone, it's so funny. He threw 20 1/3 innings and allowed 2 earned runs while Scott was abroad. The day Scott returned, he allowed 6 runs in 3 innings. So maybe it's your fault.
If everybody listening to the show wants to contribute to a GoFundMe, I will happily disappear. I'll find a nice beach or somewhere nice to just, spend my days. And that means that Bryce Elder will be a successful pitcher. Then I will take one for the team, Brad, and do what I must do for the betterment of the Braves.
It was just one of those funny things because I have tried to make sure we at least acknowledge when Bryce pitches well, because we have picked on him plenty, and he had been pitching pretty well for about a month, and then it was real bad on Saturday. So it's just the Bryce Elder experience. I think that's just what we've learned over these months. Is like when it's good, it's actually good, but when it's bad, it's very bad, and that's what happens. That's why you're a 7th starter instead of a third starter.
Took the words out of my mouth. He is the epitome of a 7th or 8th starter. Every team in baseball has one. Ideally, you're never giving the ball to your 7th or 8th starter. Lo and behold, always happens. Like it always does. And I think Elder is going to lead the team in starts and innings pitched this year, which is terrifying.
That is not good. That's not what you want. Hey, he's been healthy. I'll give him that. He has been durable. Really, his whole tenure, he's been durable. Like that's one of the strengths of Bryce Elder is that he's been out there able to pitch. And yeah, he has like a very comfortable lead. Like I think he's already basically clinched the innings lead on the team. He's at like 140, 142. And no one else who's still pitching is anywhere within any range of him. So yeah, he's going to lead the team in innings for sure. That is confirmed.
Can you imagine me saying that out loud 6 months ago?
No, this is a guy that, granted, we were probably lower on him than most were, but I thought he may not pitch at all this season in the majors. Like maybe he would come up for spot duty at some point when they inevitably have an issue when you need a guy. But Bryce Elder he's going to make 28 starts, 29. Yeah. That's insane. Like that should never have happened.
This is what we're going to do, Brad, all off season long. When somebody on YouTube or someone tweets us about the Braves don't need a starting pitcher, I'm going to just screenshot Bryce Elder having the most starts and the most innings for the Braves in 2025. I'm not going to respond other than just posting that picture. And I'm going to post that picture probably 50 times between November and February. But dear God, they have to find some depth because injuries are going to happen. I think the Braves have been hit worse than most teams in baseball in the starting rotation by injuries the last 2 years. But man alive, I mean, you would like to think it can't possibly continue for a third year, but I also don't want to be scraping the waiver wire DFA folks for starting pitchers next summer. I mean, you just can't live that way. And you can't live with Bryce Elder making 28 starts in the season.
17 pitchers have started a game for the Braves this season.
It's probably going to be
17.
18 or 19 by the end of the year, which is nuts.
It could be even larger. Yes, to your point. Quickly on Sunday, they did win today. They snapped a losing streak, so that's a small positive, a Sunday win. Matt Olson homered both days, Saturday and Sunday. He's been good. We did the spotlight segment on him Wednesday, so just acknowledging Matt's been really good. He's been the best player on the team this year, most valuable player by WAR, all the metrics. He's been good. This is more of a not so fun fact for one side of things. Craig Kimbrel pitched in Truist Park today. We all remember how I think rightly piled on the Braves for the bizarre Kimbrel saga this season when they brought him in for no apparent reason and then cut him the next day. And I don't know what happened there. But he pitched today in Truist for the first time in 2.5 years. Braves fans love Craig. They should. I hope he got a warm ovation. I wasn't there. Didn't hear it. But he did allow a home run to Sandy Leon, who is the Braves backup catcher right now in place of Sean Murphy. Yeah. It was Leon's first major league home run since 2021 against Craig Kimbrel. So that was the highlight of today. I don't know. They won. Cool.
Awesome. They won. Yeah.
They won. I did, and instead of doing this later, I'll do it now. There's been speculation already. I don't know if you saw this because you were gone this weekend. The Braves play the Pirates in the final series of the season. And my projected rotation for that game for the Braves was Vidal Brujan. I think I said Sandy Leon and then Rick Kranitz pitching the final game of the season.
Yeah, baby. Let's get Brian. Yeah, let's get Snit a couple innings too, so he can go out with something.
That's a good tease for what we'll talk about in a second. But just so everybody knows why I said the Braves and Pirates are locked into part of the race for the bottom. If you were a tankathon observer, the Pirates are a team you've been observing closely, and they won. The Braves won today. The Pirates lost. It actually hurt the Braves in the lottery standings, but alas.
FT fam, let's talk about Fair Harbor. And if you're listening, I hope that you watch this conversation at some point because we're doing show and tell, Kratz. Shorts, they can be used as a bathing suit. And the liner, which we call butter, is the game breaker. It's the playmaker because it's different.
You've worn shorts that are not like this, and the liner sucks. They are buttery on your butt.
I just came up with something for them. Your liner sucks. Get Fair Harbor liner. Seriously, give it a shot. I'm not just saying this. The butter analogy plays. And FT fam, you know we're hooking you up. So head over to fairharborclothing.com/foul20. Yes, that's FOUL 20 for 20% off your order. Once again, that's fairharborclothing.com/FOUL20 for 20% off. And make sure you use that promo code FOUL20.
Okay, Scott, let us get into some other non-game news topics, etc. You just alluded to one of them that I wanted to ask you about. We spent a lot of time on this Wednesday, but you were not here, and I want to get your fresh take on this. The Brian Snitker managerial saga. So for anybody that missed this listening to the show, basically, we have been cautioning everyone the whole time. Like, no one said anything about Snit retiring. There's been speculation from the media. Everybody's been assuming, including us, that it was likely to happen. But no one told Snit, because Snit got asked about it 3 or 4 days ago. He gave an answer that was definitely not, I'm retiring. Now, he still could retire. He didn't say he wasn't going to. But that, of course, prompted a whole response and a news cycle. And Stephen and I reminding everyone that currently Brian Snitker is not under contract for next season, which is another interesting wrinkle in this thing. But any thought of a farewell tour, Scott? It's September 14th. If they want to do a farewell tour for Snit, time's running out. Thoughts?
I still think there's a real chance we do get the farewell tour. I think it's obviously going to be very abbreviated. I just can't see the Braves bringing Brian Snitker back. And I know Alex Anthopoulos has been very buttoned up with how he was talking, and that in his mind, he hasn't even thought about replacements for Brian Snitker. I mean, come on,
that's
dude.
not true. Steve,
Yeah.
I think Steven actually swore, and I might have tried to bleep it out on the show on Wednesday about this topic. I won't say what he said, but I think the sentiment was that it's not true.
Yeah.
Alex, there's no way. There's no way. Scott, you're a college football guy like I am. The whole thing always is that every AD in the country has a list somewhere in their top drawer, on their phone in the notes app, wherever it may be. Everyone has a list.
Yes.
I'm sure Alex does too.
Yes. But I get it. Like this, Alex Anthopoulos is a very seasoned, buttoned up veteran.
Correct.
And Brian Snitker's been around this team for 50 years. And he has a World Series. And he has a World Series 4 years ago. And other than this year, and other than the first year and a half when he took over for Freddie Gonzalez with a just pitiful roster,
It's a bad roster.
the Braves have been very, very good. So nobody wants to be the person who basically kicks Brian Snitker out. But the fact that he does not have a contract, he's managed the entire year without a contract. Everyone around the team thinks that Snit is going to retire. He's getting up there in age. He lights up when he talks about his grandkids and being with his family, because frankly, he hasn't had a ton of family time over the last 50 years because he's been managing and been so married to the game all this time. So whenever I saw those comments from Snit and from Alex about the future, I raised my eyebrows, just like I think everybody listening and watching the show did. But it felt like, to me, it was just kind of, nobody wants to say out loud that, yes, this is the end for Brian Snitker, but I would be stunned. I mean, I'm at like 90, 95% that he's done at the end of the season. Give him a big old handshake, give him an honorary front office position for the rest of time, pay him salary if you want to. Yeah, but I think it's fair to say, with the in-game management, and that is a big part, but not the whole part of a manager's job. Like, for example, Gabe Kapler. Like, the players hated Gabe Kapler. That dude could not command a clubhouse. That is something that Brian Snitker does phenomenally well. You will never see a player disrespect Brian Snitker. You will never see a player badmouth Brian Snitker to the media. I'm sure he does things that rub players wrong every now and then, but by and large, very, very positive clubhouse vibes throughout his entire tenure with the Braves. Very little drama, etc., etc. But I do think the in-game tactician part of the job has probably gotten away from him, and I'm saying probably to be nice. We know how the playoffs have gone. I don't want to put it all on him because he's only sitting in the dugout. He's not making the pitches. He's not swinging the bat. But I think it's time for a fresh voice. It makes sense coming off of a bad year. And sure, I'm sure that Snit would have loved to have gone out on top, win a World Series, or even win the division and fight and make a a push in the postseason. But yeah, I mean, that's my very long-winded way of saying it was interesting what was said, but I have to think that Snit is done in 2 weeks.
I don't think managers are worth 15 wins or something. Like every once in a while I see something crazy. Like if the Braves had Ron Washington, they would be first in the division. Like, no, you're out of your mind. The players have to play. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Vibes can, but this stuff matters. We are not on this podcast generally. You can correct me if you want to, Scott. We are not zealots on the like nothing matter. Like there are people that think the clubhouse stuff doesn't matter at all. I'm actually not that. I don't think that. I am an analytical person. I think the players playing matters more than all that other stuff. The vibes do matter. I do think that on some level.
100%. These guys are around each other every single day for 8 months out of the year. The vibes in the clubhouse and the way that everything is handled absolutely matters.
Yeah, I'm saying that because I'm sure some people probably think because we like numbers and we go into numbers that like that stuff matters too. I just don't want to ignore the off-field stuff, and you did a great job with that. Stit's good at that stuff. He's renowned. Everybody likes the guy. I think it's time to go too. We'll see. It's a tough spot for Alex because you don't want to be seen as the guy firing Snitker. That's bad. I mean, there are a lot of people that we might follow and that run in our circles that might actually be celebrating when Snitker is gone. But there are a lot of Braves fans who do not want Snitker to leave, who like Brian Snitker a lot, probably too much. Like who might have given him a lot of credit when we didn't always. Like there's a split there. And it's bad PR for Alex to be seen as, shivving Brian Snitker on the way out the door. Like that's not good.
Oh yeah.
For all the things you said, 50 years, all those things. So it's delicate, but the fact that he's in a contract doesn't make it easier. You could just, as long as Snitker decides to play ball in whatever instance, there is a way for Alex to be like, you know what, Snit, we're not going to give you a deal for next year. Like, let's just make this announcement now. We'll let you do it if you want to. If you want to say I'm retiring, cool. That makes it easy on everybody. We don't know how it's going to happen, but if they do want a moment for everyone to be like, hey, Snit, good on you, they got to do it like soon. Like we're almost there. Like,
yeah.
And look, you don't have to do that. I don't want to overstate that either, because look, if they don't say anything at all and he retires or isn't retained, opening day next year, you can be like Bryce Elder Day. Like there's a way to do it that's not a farewell tour, but it would be easier if it was the farewell tour, I think, for vibes.
Doesn't it kind of feel like Snit in his like media availability before a game on a Wednesday would just kind of come out and say, hey guys, I'm retiring. Like, I
mean, maybe, he might be in the dugout one day, just might be like, yeah, I think I'm out. And I'm sure, I don't want to say I'm sure. I think Alex might silently be like, thank God he did that to save everybody the trouble. Not because he wants Snit on that badly, but because just you don't want the circus. You don't want the drama of it all. You want it to be easy one way or the other.
Have you seen The Office, Brad?
Not like you have, but I have seen The Office, yes.
Great episode early on. Michael has to fire someone, and he's just hoping that somebody will voluntarily quit so he doesn't have to fire somebody. That is exactly what's going through Alex's head. Like, please, Lord, please retire. Please let me make you super special assistant to the general manager. We'll name the clubhouse after you. We'll name a suite after you, whatever the Braves have to do.
Yeah.
And the grass is not always greener. Let's say that.
No.
We do not know how things are going to go, but I think it's time. I think this has run its course. Incredible man, incredible career, but I think it's time.
And Alex has done all the right things so far to say it'll be a Brave for life, all those comments, but it's not. He also hasn't said Snit's the manager next year. He's kind of given him the out to say all this. Anyway, so we'll stop, but it's a topic to follow over the next 2 weeks because it could go any of different directions. Look, I think the chances of him back are probably higher than you do. I think they're low. I think they're pretty low, but I would not fall on the floor if we get the blue square Bryce Elder has been extended for 2026 tweet. I wouldn't like that particularly, but I would not be as surprised as some would be if that were to happen. That'd be a very Bravesy thing to do. I still think it won't happen, but I would not literally be like driving in traffic and wheel off the road if that were to happen. I'd be kind of prepared for it mentally.
The timing would just be so weird.
It's all weird. Like the fact that we talked about with Steven, so we have to do the whole thing again, but the fact that he entered this season at all on an expiring contract is already weird. It was already weird then. And now they've had this terrible season. And it's like the PR, boy, it's going to be an interesting couple weeks on that front. And also, they might just let it go for a couple weeks after that. They don't have to do anything right away. They probably should, because if you want to hire a manager from outside, you need to go ahead and start doing that. Like, you don't want to have, even if Alex has a list, and he probably does, unless you're promoting from within, which I presume would be Walt Weiss if you're going to do that. Unless you're doing that, you're going somewhere else, and that means you got to call that guy and get him. I mean, even if it's somebody that people flow all the time, like David Ross, doesn't work for the Braves. Like, you got to call and hire David Ross if you want to hire David Ross. So, interesting times ahead on that front. All right, Scott. Elsewhere, quickly before we get out of here, Ronaldo Lopez. You teased it earlier. He threw on Friday. People, I guess, talk to the media as well. He's going to Northport to get ready for some more ramp up. He's not going to pitch this year. We know that already. But he did kind of two pillars here. I'm going to throw the other one to you. The first one, he did kind of soften up his stance of like, I am a starter. And he said, I kind of prefer to be a starter, but I'll do whatever they ask me to do, which is not a huge difference, but it does a meaningful one because Ronaldo used to be a reliever. He was good at it. Starters have more value than relievers. Every once in a while, we'll get a question like, why don't they make so-and-so a reliever? And it's because the answer is always because starters are more valuable than relievers. That's why they let him start in the first place. Grant Holmes, same thing. That's why they don't. Every time we get a comment that says starter should be the closer, I'm like, no, stop, don't do that. Smith Shawver because he throws hard. Whichever player. The answer is always, until you prove you can't be a starter, they're going to want you to start if you're good enough. And Ronaldo has been good enough. But that was an interesting little tiny nugget, I thought. The other one I want you to talk about because it was reported by DOB, but it has to do with Ronaldo's health.
It was really, I think, encouraging to hear where Ronaldo was after being away. But, according to the report from David O'Brien, Ronaldo said that he feels pain-free in his shoulder now for the first time in multiple seasons, which caught my eye. It was like, oh, well, I mean, he was fantastic last year throwing. I mean, he was legit. I think he led the National League in ERA or was awfully close to it.
I mean, he made the All-Star team, had a 1.9 on ERA last year.
Yeah. I mean, he was a legitimate star, maybe like the best pound for pound offseason addition that any team made last winter. And yeah, it was encouraging to hear that he's been throwing, and hopefully we'll have a normal offseason of ramp up and strength building and workouts. And in terms of the starter versus reliever thing, I think the Braves are in a fascinating spot because if healthy, I think you feel really good about Spencer Schwallenbach and Chris Sale. And that's kind of it. And they have all these other guys who are weird in different ways. Like with a normal offseason, is Spencer Strider going to be awesome again? Is he just going to be pretty good? I
think he will be good. I think he will be good. But I understand your point for sure.
Yeah, like a legitimate question. What kind of workload can Ronaldo Lopez do? What can Grant Holmes do? What, if anything, do they get from AJ Smith-Shawver? What do they add this offseason? Like, there's a lot of intrigue here. We talked about Hurston Waldrep earlier in the show. There's a lot of intrigue with this rotation. I think if things break right, it could legitimately be maybe the best rotation in baseball, top 3, top 5. We saw that last year. But that's also like a massive if, because Lord knows this team has not stayed healthy in the pitching department for multiple years.
It is a reminder when you bring that up that the Braves last season led all of baseball in starting pitcher strikeouts, and they were third in all baseball in starting pitcher ERA, number 1 in the National League.
Yeah.
They had a top 3 or 4 rotation in baseball literally 1 year ago. And this year it's not been that because of all kinds of things. But it is wise to remember that. And Ronaldo's a good encapsulation of that. Like, I don't think any of us ever thought Ronaldo was a true talent 1.99 ERA guy. Like, he had kind of a good fortune season last year, but he has been good. He was still good last season. He just happened to get hurt. But the fact that he's been, I mean, multiple seasons could be a long time, but that does mean he probably pitched with a shoulder issue of some kind literally last year when he was awesome. So whether that's good or not, we'll see. I think I would give Ronaldo the chance to start, unless the medical staff, which obviously knows more than we do, thinks that he shouldn't. Like, there's got to be a medical reason for him to not start for me. And if you get to the point next year where he's not good enough to start, there is the fallback option of putting him in the bullpen. But if I'm going to spring training, unless there's a medical concern, he's starting for me. Like that would be what I would want to do.
It's so much easier to ramp up to be a starter and then go to the bullpen than the other
way around.
route. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of being pain free, you missed the Sean Murphy discourse while you were gone. We don't have to do it all now, but the part that I wanted to get your take on was the Sean didn't tell anybody of it all. That's what became a national story. So I listened to Effectively Wild, a great national podcast, Ben Lilberg, Meg Rowley. They did a whole segment about this. I know others did too. The part that made the national round was not that Murphy got hurt. It was that Murphy had been hurt for a long time and didn't tell anybody, which even as we are known probably too much as being a pro Sean Murphy podcast. We all ripped him to some varying degree. We were all negative about that too. You got to tell somebody. Sure. That's my opinion. What was your reaction across the pond when that came across?
Yeah, man alive. If you are hurt, say something. Like I know, I get it, man. Like nobody wants to be the one who's making injury excuses. Hell, we heard like a month and a half ago, Acuña came out and said, he felt like he had missed too much time and he wanted to play through it. And then he got hurt again and he missed time and he wasn't very good after he returned. So for Murphy, the fact he's been did I see 4 years that Sean Murphy's been dealing with this problem now?
I think it was at least 3. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Maybe it explains some of the extremely Jekyll and Hyde nature that Sean Murphy has been with the Braves. Seemingly he's either like in the running for National League Player of the Month or he's in an 0 for 30 skid. And that's very much been the Sean Murphy experience. And hopefully with a off season to recover, he'll be mostly normal by spring training. And this is all assuming that Murphy's on the team next year, but I think the surgery makes it even more likely that he's going to be back. I think we're also seeing over the last 2 weeks, Drake Baldwin has hit something of a wall. Now, maybe that's the rookie wall. Maybe it's the catcher in Atlanta wall. Maybe he's just running into 2 bad weeks of luck, right? But whatever it is, I think it's pretty clear the Braves want to run a tandem of catchers. So I think it makes it even more likely that Murphy is back next year in some kind of situation. I could probably talk for an hour about the catchers and the DH and the outfield. I thought you and Steven had a really good conversation on the most recent episode of the show. But yeah, I mean, for Murph, I hope he's 100%. Now, I hope the surgery is successful. I'm glad he finally said something because, just say it. And if it's a 4 or 5 month recovery time, say it and then get the surgery in the offseason. And if you have to miss the first couple of weeks, then miss the first couple of weeks. It was just another thing. Like I know a couple people have joked every time the Braves do a roster move, it's like the Braves added this player to the roster. Additionally, somebody's arm has fallen off. Or additionally, somebody grew 4 new toes overnight.
It's like their version of the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
The old Oregon Trail. It's like, you got dysentery. It's been tough. And there is I know everybody's been having the organizational thing. Like, is this a culture problem? Like, we don't know is the answer to that really, but the Braves have had a culture thing of guys playing through stuff that they shouldn't have been playing. I mean, you don't have to. You remember when Freddie was playing the wet newspaper? Like that was maybe the epitome of this. Was the team leader visibly not being able to swing and still playing and not refusing to sit. This has been happening for a while. It's not necessarily everybody, but yeah, just tell them if you're hurt, man. Just say you're hurt. It's bad. Like anyway, done and done. On Baldwin, he has been bad lately. Hopefully, the only real storyline, honestly, like on field the last 2 weeks of the season is like, please get hot for 2 weeks straight. Because right now he's the underdog, albeit kind of slightly. He's plus 135, according to our friends at DraftKings, to win Rookie of the Year. But Cade Horton is the favorite now because Drake's been cold at a bad time. It would be good for the Braves and for Drake and everybody if he had a hot finish. But right now, if you did the voting today, he probably wouldn't win. So maybe not for sure. He still could win. I'm just saying it wouldn't be like a slam dunk. So
the odds always seemingly change. Like by the day, it feels like Baldwin was the favorite, and then he was like tied, and then he wasn't the favorite, and then he was the favorite for like 48 hours. And then,
he's 3 of his last 36. That will hurt you. And anytime. If the race is close, you are going to fall if you have a stretch like that. So big end, Drake.
Let's hope. Had Sunday off, Baldwin did. Let's hope it kind of gets him his legs back underneath him. I'm sure he's wearing down a little bit. Of course, he's been out there pretty much I mean, maybe 2 out of 3 days for the better part of 6 months now. Of course, his first time going through a full major league season, but overall a fantastic rookie season for Baldwin. Let's hope that he can kind of help the team out, get rookie of the year, which is not only a great honor, but would also get the extra draft pick.
For sure. We're going to get out of here. A couple of roster things quickly, not even really much to add. Jake Fraley hit the IL, another guy in the IL. Luke Williams came back. I bet you Luke Williams will pitch at some point in the next 2 weeks. Would be my guess on that. Daysbell is on the IL with shoulder inflammation. The quiet part about Daysbell is that he's been a bad major league pitcher. I know people love him, but he's been bad.
I have learned, whenever I talk about Daysbell, I think the fan base as a whole has favorites or players they like or don't like more than they should. I've learned that a lot of people love Daysbell Hernandez.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen it, man. I know 2 months ago I made a comment about Daysbell. I think it was talking about the closer next season, and not everyone, but people were like, well, what about Daysbell? And I thought I was being pranked. What, the guy's 29 years old.
I have one stat for you that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. He's a 29-year-old reliever with a 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. What else do you want?
He has, granted, it's 37 innings, but he has 33 strikeouts and 30 walks this season.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. That's not going to work. So I'm not saying he can't be part of the bullpen next year. He can be for sure. There's still some talent there, but
I don't
to date,
so.
the reputation is far outpacing what he's actually been.
Yeah, I don't see it, but maybe I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I hope he's great, but I
know why though. His ERA is 3.4, and that's there are people that can only if it's that one column that matters and nothing else matters.
Yeah,
but his FIP is over 5, so I can promise you this: if you go into next season, if he maintains this strikeout to walk ratio, he will be bad. I'm very confident about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's hurt. Hopefully, he's not hurt bad. Obviously, shoulder inflammation could be. Shoulders are tough. If it's really bad, that's really bad. If it's not, it's not. Hopefully it's not for his sake as another option in the bullpen. And the last road trip of the season begins on Monday. The Braves play 4 in Washington and then 3 in Detroit. By the way, the 4-game series in Washington is over 3 days. They play Monday, a doubleheader on Tuesday, and then Wednesday before travel day. They did just announce, as we were talking, the probables, at least some of the probables for the week. Strider is pitching Monday. It's been up and down for him, but you will get to see him for the first time, Scott, with no mustache on the mound on Monday. Then Tuesday, they have not said half of the rotation, but the other half will be Chris Sale. And then Wednesday, Hurston Waldrep has been announced in the finale against Washington. So obviously there is more intrigue anytime one of Strider, Sale, or Waldrep pitches, at least for me. But that's what I would say about that. We'll see and I am always a fan of having baseball on at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. So that will be there on Tuesday, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. for you.
I was going to say, how many live human beings who paid American dollars for a ticket will be at that day game on Tuesday between the Braves and the Nationals?
I don't know how Washington draws. I mean, it's a tough ask on a Tuesday afternoon when both teams are out of the running. The only people there, I would imagine, are the total sickos or Braves fans who live up there and just want to see the Braves because they're in town.
Yeah.
DC is a interesting town. You get the whole locale, but it's Tuesday at 1. Tough. Yeah. Anyway,
you could have gone so many ways after that.
I know. You know what? Nope. Not on this podcast. Anyway, that's the lay of the land. Then they come home at the end of the season. But 2 weeks left, 13 games left in this, quite frankly, season from hell. And here we are. Scott, I'm glad you're back. Thank you for being here.
Good to be back, Brad. As always, with you. Atlanta Braves fever. Catch it now.
This is one of those times when Scott is the delirious one. Even though we're recording this at 8 p.m. Eastern time, Scott hasn't slept and is on coffee, and the Falcons are about to play. So my mental state's about to go downhill in a hurry. It's an interesting Sunday night. But I'm glad you're here. That gives me cover for when I go out of the country in a couple of weeks. I can say, well, Scott did it. So
there we go. Yes, the show goes on. You, me, Steven, Sean, we'll keep going. And even when the regular season ends, if you're new, we will keep going throughout October. kind of previewing the offseason, probably a little bit of playoff baseball talk. And then once the offseason starts, it kind of gets rolling. I mean, we got plenty to talk about. There's certainly no shortage of things on the immediate horizon for the Braves, both roster moves, coaching, who's going to manage. I mean, there's a lot of things in the next maybe 6 weeks that are going to be really interesting for this team.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So please keep it locked here. Please subscribe to Hammer Territory anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. So please like the video if you're watching on that platform. Comment below if you're an audio subscriber. We appreciate you. Just take 1 second and smash subscribe on YouTube. Even if you never watch, do that for us. Same way the other way around. If you're a YouTube watcher, cool, thank you. Please subscribe on Apple or Spotify or wherever as well. That helps us. And ratings, reviews, all that fun stuff. Follow Scott at Scott Coleman 55 for all of your Indianapolis Colts, Arizona football.
I was going to say, I'm going to change my handle to like Daniel Jones fan or something like that because
you're 2-0 Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, baby.
And this was the other half of this podcast. I'm sure Steven would have brought up a certain college football result on Saturday, but Sean's not here, and I don't want to pile on. So, and also I like everybody. I'm pro. I have no SEC rooting allegiances whatsoever. People assume I'm a Georgia fan. I'm not. I'm also not an anti-Georgia person. It is what it is. So, Scott, thank you again. I appreciate it. You're the man.
My pleasure, Brad. Good to be back. I'm going to go take a nap. Yeah, the jet lag and time difference is kind of killing me right now. But hey, we got like an hour-long show on a Sunday night for a baseball team that is dead in the water. That's what we do here. And again, as always, a big thank you to everybody for checking out the show.
Thanks to Scott. Thanks to you, the listener and viewer of this podcast. Subscribe to the show, and we'll see everybody next time.